what do I think of the Subaru BRZ? I know I got you guys strapped to the passenger seat. I hope the audio comes out good. This is my first time trying to do something like this. Let me know if this is something that you like. If it's not something that you like, you can let me know too. Like I mentioned, I'm trying to do new things different than just me sitting at my desk talking about tech. So this right here, you guys are in the passenger seat of my 2017 Subaru BRZ, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it right now because, well, I've had it for almost a year. I bought the thing in early December of 2017, and as of right now, this is September 22nd of 2018. So I've had it about 9-10 months, and well, these are my thoughts on it. So this is a disclaimer right now. I'm not a car person necessarily. I've become more of a car person, but when I bought this car, I knew very little about cars, apart from the fact and the research I took beforehand that I wanted to buy this car. And being a tech person, I always was interested in cars. Of course, cars are way more expensive than something like a phone or a tablet, a watch, a camera. But I knew when I used to have a Jeep Patriot before, I knew that the next car I wanted to get was going to be probably a Subaru. Definitely something that was stick, fun to drive, something you could modify. You know, I even thought about starting to modify my Jeep Patriot, but you know, why would you do that? I know the camera just tilted a little bit here. I'll try to prop it out. Bear with me here. Maybe that looks a little bit better. The tripod isn't super stable. It kind of oozes down a little bit, as you can see. That's why you have the wide angle lens. But anyway, so what I think about the Subaru BRZ, it's a really fun car to drive. Now, those of you who know about it, you know, it's not the fastest car. It comes stock at 205 horsepower. So like I mentioned, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Something even similarly priced, like the Subaru WRX, which, as you saw in the beginning, I'm driving here in the mountains of California, going from the Bay Area to Santa Cruz, which is the beach. This is what that car is made for. It's not meant for straightaways. It's not meant for drag racing, for red light races, you know, with your buddies who have, you know, turbo in their car, who have, you know, super high horsepower cars. This car is very, you know, low to the ground, very good handling, very fun to drive, and honestly, I care more about that than I care about the horsepower, you know? My friend that's behind me right now actually has a WRX, and his car has more horsepower than mine. But you know what, in a drive like this, even though his is four-wheel drive and he has more horsepower, this car has way better handling around these curves. So I can actually get it done a little bit better than he can. Now with that said, if we're racing on the freeway, it's a completely different story. But each car is a little different, and you know, for this car, which is pretty affordable, it is technically a sports car. You know, I don't count it as like, no, it's not like a real sports car, but it is a sports car, you know, and it's a sports coupe because it has a couple seats in the back. It's definitely not a sedan, you know. This thing is powerful still, even with 205 horsepower. And it's something that you can, you know, get some turbo, do a few mods, and before you know it, you could easily get this car to 300. I've seen even, you know, guides where you can, it's very hard, very expensive, you have to rebuild the engine. But people have done it. People have gotten this car to 500 horsepower. Now, this is a $28,000 car. By the time you do that, you're probably spending another $30,000 rebuilding the car and on parts. So yes, you could easily just, you know, buy a Model 3 for $60K. But the point is that there's definitely a lot of potential with this car. And if you want to have fun with it, learning about cars, I learned to drive stick in this car. I knew a little bit beforehand, but this car is what got me my first stick shift car, and I love it. And it's so much fun. And honestly, I can't wait to put way more miles on it. I have about 9,000 miles on it, and I bought the thing brand new. And I already, in terms of mods, you can see right here, you might be able to see it. This is a CarPlay radio. So that's already on there. I took out the radio, that was the first thing I did. You can't really tell from the video because you're only looking through the windshields, but I also tinted the windows a little bit. It's still at the legal minimum. I didn't really do it for like the factor of being dark and sleek and all that stuff, where a lot of people completely tint out their windows, because that's illegal, and in California you get a fix-it ticket for, so I didn't want to spend $400 tinting my windows and then getting another $300 ticket once the cop pulls me over, and they do that here. I already don't have a front license plate. So instead I actually got a different coating, which it's the minimum here, but it's a little bit more expensive than the regular tint. And it blocks, I do it to block out the heat, so that way it actually protects my interior. My back windshield, my back window is tinted about, to 20%. So that's pretty much tinted very, very high. My side windows are 70, but they have that crystalline tint. And of course my front windshield does not have a tint as of now. Maybe I'll do one in the future, just a little bit, same thing as the crystalline on the sides. But who knows, that's also very expensive. It's like $300 for that piece of crystalline on the windshields. So I might wait on that. And the only other mod that I have, this is for the only performance related mod, is my exhaust. You may be able to hear it right now. I'll try to put it in third right here. Yeah, you can kind of hear that. Hopefully the mic picks it up. I have a NVIDIA N1 exhaust, so one of the first things I did to this car was replace the exhaust. I don't want to do anything to the engine yet, just because of the warranty. Exhaust replacements are pretty safe. Now, if I have some sort of exhaust issue, of course Subaru won't cover it, but in terms of, most other stuff, it's a pretty safe mod to do. Just make sure you're careful with it. I got a catback, so this is a catback. Just makes the car a little bit louder. You get a little bit more flow through that exhaust. Let me see which way I'm going here. That's the 236. Looks like I'm going straight. Yeah, we'll see here. Yeah, I'll meet up at the end of the day. But yeah, so I got the exhaust replaced. I have a few pictures of it actually, because I documented it. I did it with my buddy who's behind us right now. He bought his WRX right after I bought my BRZ, and he's the one who actually told me about BRZs and advocated for it. So I had a couple other people mention that they love this car, and that's when I ended up making the decision. But replaced the exhaust, tinted the windows, and replace the radio. Me as a tech person, of course, CarPlay was the first thing I wanted to get, just because the Bluetooth connection that the stereo already had was terrible, and it kept cutting out, and the interface was very slow. So I was like, you know what, like, I have an iPhone, I'm just gonna get something that's a few $100 that has CarPlay on it, and that'll make the car experience a lot better. So as a tech person, that's definitely the first thing I wanted to do. Then I started learning about car things. So in the future, I'm probably gonna look into getting maybe like a strap-on turbo kit, down the line after I've paid it off, after I've run out the warranty, put a lot of miles in. That's probably something I'm looking at doing. Definitely at that point, that's not something you can just do. You have to tune the car to get there. You have to actually, it already has Brembo brakes. This is the limited model, so it's one up, so it has the Brembo brakes with it, the performance brakes, but I'd actually have to upgrade the brakes again if I put a turbo kit, because it puts more stress on them. You may have to do some axle work as well. I'm not too familiar, and that's what I'm learning right now. Ooh, there we go. Let me go down here. Wow, this is really tight. Okay, yeah, I gotta be careful here. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave the camera running for a little bit, make a couple points if I need to. But you guys enjoy it. Right now we're driving up. These are all redwoods in California, Northern California. We're actually gonna drive up to the beach, so we're gonna have some sunset video, but we're basically going from the Bay Area to the beach, going through this foresty, mountainous area. Wow, this is a really strange road. This is a one-way or a two-way road. Yeah, wow, this is scary. I've never driven this before. Me and a couple buddies decided to do this, so first time up here. I have come up here, but not specifically past this point, so this is all new territory for me. So you gotta be careful, because the lane is not divided, and cars get very close to each other. I'll take my sunglasses off here, because it's getting dark. Let's see if I can get my location here. I might turn around just because there's a faster way to get there. We don't have GPS service up here either, GPS or cellular data, so it's kind of hard to see the roads and know which turn to make. This is, we were on Highway 9, now we're on the 236, which is a very long loop. I might go back because it's a little too long of a loop, but it's nice views. It's just, I got 4 people behind me, and I'm not too big of a fan of this really, really slim road. Yeah, you see this? This is a, wow. Dead end down there. And there is probably no place to turn around, so we might be here for a little while. Hopefully I can turn around here. That's a turn, I don't want to turn there.